Climate change is one of the most pressing issues of our time. Around the globe, we're seeing the devastating effects unfold, from rising temperatures to sea level rise, from historic droughts to increasingly powerful storms. This global phenomenon is driven largely by human activity. But what exactly is climate change? It's not just about warmer days. It's a long-term shift in global or regional climate patterns, a disruption that touches every corner of the planet and every aspect of life. The consequences are far-reaching: melting polar ice caps, rising sea levels threatening coastal cities, the loss of biodiversity, and more frequent and intense natural disasters. From renewable energy to reforestation, from innovation to education, there are ways we can mitigate the damage and build a more sustainable future. In this video, we'll explore the causes of climate change, its wide-reaching impacts, and most importantly, the actions we can take to protect the only home we have. Climate change refers to the long-term warming of our planet due to rising average global temperatures. It's not just about hot days or heat waves. It's about changes in the Earth's entire climate system, including rainfall, ocean currents, and weather patterns over decades and centuries. The main cause of this warming is the greenhouse effect. Naturally, greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide exist in the atmosphere and help keep the planet warm enough to sustain life. But when human activities pump excessive amounts of these gases into the atmosphere, that balance is disrupted and more heat gets trapped. Since the Industrial Revolution, atmospheric carbon dioxide levels have increased by over 50%. This sharp rise coincides with the mass use of fossil fuels for energy, transportation, and industry. The burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and natural gas is the leading source of man-made greenhouse gases. These fuels power our homes, factories, vehicles, and economies, but at a devastating cost to the planet. Deforestation is another major contributor. Trees absorb carbon dioxide, acting as natural carbon sinks. But when forests are cut down or burned, often to make room for agriculture or development, that stored carbon is released back into the atmosphere, accelerating climate change. Other sources of greenhouse gases include agriculture, especially livestock, which produce methane, landfills, and industrial processes. While these emissions may seem smaller compared to fossil fuels, their impact on global warming is significant. All these human activities have led to a steady rise in global temperatures. In fact, the last 8 years have been the warmest on record. As the planet warms, we're witnessing a cascade of environmental changes: melting glaciers, rising seas, shifting seasons, and dying ecosystems. Climate change is not some distant threat. It's happening now. It's measurable, observable, and backed by overwhelming scientific evidence from across the globe. Understanding what climate change is and how human actions are driving it is the first step toward finding solutions. We are at a turning point. The decisions we make now will determine the future of our planet. Rising sea levels and coastal erosion are two of the most visible and immediate impacts of climate change. As the planet warms, glaciers and massive ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica are melting at accelerating rates. This water flows into the oceans, causing sea levels to rise. Low-lying areas and coastal cities around the world are increasingly vulnerable to flooding. Saltwater intrusion is contaminating freshwater supplies, displacing communities, and damaging infrastructure. By the end of this century, entire nations may be swallowed by the sea. But the impacts don't stop at the coasts. Climate change is fueling more frequent and intense extreme weather events. Heat waves that were once rare now occur regularly. Droughts last longer and hit harder, threatening food and water security for millions. Floods, hurricanes, and wildfires are becoming more destructive and unpredictable. These events destroy homes, cripple economies, and endanger lives, especially in poorer regions where resources to recover are limited. Climate change is also reshaping the natural world. Ecosystems are shifting and biodiversity is under threat. Coral reefs, home to 25% of all marine species, are dying due to warming oceans and acidification. Arctic animals like polar bears and seals are losing their icy habitats. From forests to oceans, species are being forced to adapt, migrate, or face extinction. Climate zones are shifting faster than many plants and animals can respond, leading to a cascading effect throughout entire ecosystems. The human cost is staggering. Climate change exacerbates poverty, triggers food insecurity, and creates climate refugees, people forced to leave their homes due to drought, flood, or famine. Entire ways of life are at risk. Public health is under threat. Higher temperatures mean more heat-related illnesses and the spread of diseases like malaria and dengue fever. Air pollution, worsened by climate-induced wildfires, affects millions, especially children and the elderly. And yet, the people contributing the least to climate change, often in the global south, are the ones most affected. It is not just an environmental issue, but a moral one. Climate change is deepening global inequality. These impacts are severe, but they are not inevitable. Scientists are working tirelessly to understand and predict what lies ahead, while communities around the world are taking action to adapt and prepare. Understanding the far-reaching impacts of climate change helps us recognize what's at stake and what must be protected. The future of our planet, its people, and its wildlife depends on the choices we make today. So, what can we do to mitigate climate change? The solutions are already within reach. One of the most powerful steps we can take is transitioning away from fossil fuels and toward renewable energy sources like solar, wind, hydro, and geothermal power. Unlike oil and coal, renewable energy doesn't emit greenhouse gases when producing electricity. Clean energy not only reduces carbon emissions, it also creates jobs, lowers energy costs, and promotes energy independence. Another important part of the solution lies in the choices we make every day. Simple lifestyle changes, like reducing waste, choosing reusable products, eating less meat, and conserving electricity, can reduce our individual carbon footprints. Transportation is one of the largest sources of carbon emissions. Walking, biking, using public transport, or switching to electric vehicles can significantly reduce pollution and traffic congestion in our cities. Our food choices also matter. Supporting sustainable agriculture, reducing food waste, and eating more plant-based meals all help reduce the environmental impact of our diets, while also improving health. But individual action alone is not enough. We need collective action. Communities, corporations, and governments must work together. Climate change is a global problem that demands global solutions. Governments must create bold climate policies, like carbon pricing, environmental regulations, and support for green innovation. Businesses need to adopt cleaner technologies, reduce emissions, and commit to sustainability. Nature itself can be part of the solution. Reforestation, wetland restoration, and protecting biodiversity all help absorb carbon from the atmosphere and strengthen ecosystems. Climate change may be the defining challenge of our generation, but it's also an opportunity. An opportunity to rethink how we live, work, and connect with the planet. If we act together, act boldly, and act now, we can build a cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable future for everyone. Climate change is a complex and pressing issue, one that affects every region, every community, and every one of us. But despite the challenges, there is hope. Around the world, people are stepping up. From small villages to major cities, from youth activists to policymakers, individuals and groups are taking bold action to protect our planet. By working together and making sustainable choices, we can reduce emissions, protect ecosystems, and build a better, more resilient future, not just for ourselves, but for generations to come. It starts with awareness. Understanding the problem is the first step, but knowledge means little without action. So, what can you do today? Start by learning more about climate change and its impacts. Talk about it. Share what you've learned. Support policies that prioritize the environment. Make climate-friendly choices in your daily life. Even the small ones matter. Together, we can make a difference. The future is not written yet, and the choices we make now will shape the world of tomorrow. Let's choose wisely. Let's act boldly. Let's protect our home.